I'm sorry for your loss, Marsh. You lost your sister,
Yeah,
Tony.
she passed on Sunday. Yeah. She was the baby. I was the first and she was the last.
My daddy said the same thing, Janine, when it comes to my business. He said, Donnie, if you get out there and try, somebody might see you and they might decide to help you. But you'll never know if you never try.
But the problem for drug addiction is so big and so pervasive. How do we put our arms around all of this? It's a lot. How
There
do
are
we get
programs out
that?
here who graduate people all the time, whether it's court ordered or what have you.
Hmm.
But I gotta want to make that change. I gotta get sick and tired of being sick and tired.
That's the fear.
If
Because
you want
we
to come on this show, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
If you want to come on this show right now and share your thoughts, including you, Michael Randolph, there's the link right there. I knew he was coming. And look, he got a new backdrop. Whoa. I was about tired of them boxes you kept putting up. Come on in with cardboard. I'm like, where are you? In the pantry?
First of all,
Michael Randolph, welcome to
yeah,
the
yeah.
show.
Look, first of all, have a happy New Year's. Especially, you got to get on where you are and make the best of it, right? Definitely, because when you call, I'm through. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
What's the word, Michael Randolph?
Give me 1 second. I'm having an issue. There we go. I had you on both Facebook as well as this. Now, I'm sorry, what was that last question?
What's the word?
The word is, man, it is hard as heck to get off of drugs. It is really not easy. I always say, but for the grace of God, because God picked some of us to get off and some of us to stay on. And those that stay on, we can't look down, but for the grace of God, because we be right there. You know, whatever that story is, it's that story. And drugs is one of the hardest things to kick. Cigarettes and all like that. So it's not really easy, but I commend those that keep trying though. I commend those that keep failing but keep trying because it's not easy at the end of the day. And everybody got their own story, and we can say that this person shouldn't be doing that, but at the end of the day, we can only thank God for delivering us from that. That's my 2 cents when it comes to drugs, is it's not your friend.
No, it's not. I used to get high, and one day I was like, this don't make no sense. Number one, that I'm just throwing my money away for me to sit over here and just be blasted. Because, like, are you really serious? And back then, it was like all the psychedelic stuff. So you sit there and I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not doing this anymore. And I just stopped. And it wasn't, fortunately, my girlfriend and I, Patty Kabowski, we had a little list. And we knew that if we reached another level of the drugs we were taking, be it acid or whatever, we had to stop because we were getting too close to being over in the edge. We didn't need to be that high. And this was when I was in high school. We were getting high. We were out picking weed out on the lake. They called it the lake, and it had all the swamp where all the army used to hang out. And they planted all this marijuana, and we would pick it and then go over to Patty Kabowski's house and put it in a what do you call a pillowcase, tied up with a rubber band, and dry the weed at her mother's house in her dryer. So that was back in the 60s, right? But what we also knew then at that point was this is really getting out of hand. She went on off to Western Michigan University. And I realized that I don't need to be getting this high every day hanging out with Patty Kabowski. So we haven't seen each other in a long time, but that drugs, and that was just weed. So I can only imagine what people are going through if it's, heroin or mescaline or acid or all that other stuff. There's a lot to deter us from doing things that we should be doing.
Nowadays, we got crystal meth and also fentanyl.
Yeah, I hear that fentanyl is a beast. People are dying from fentanyl.
Elephant tranquilizer. Michael Haney, welcome to the show. My main man. How you doing, man?
Hey, good to see you and Miss Jews. Always a pleasure, Miss Jews. You look elegant and lovely as always. It's hard to imagine that you smoked weed like I did, but Mike Randolph down there in Tampa, always good to see you.
Thank you.
Mike Haney, we want to thank you publicly for sponsoring BlackUSA.News. I want to commend you also for establishing yourself as a media personality yourself. I don't know if you set out to do that. You were supporting your younger homeboy. What you got me by a couple years? I'm 59. I think you like 61, 62.
Yeah, if you say so. I'm actually 66 going on 36. That's how good I feel.
Right on.
What about you, Mike Randolph? How old are you?
I'm 68 going on 25.
You look great. You look great,
All y'all
Mike.
babies. All y'all babies.
Well, how old are you, Miss Jews? How old are you?
Ooh,
You ain't supposed to ask a lady her age.
I just want to know. Oh, well, you look good for 72.
I'm grateful to say I am 72 years old. Thank you, Lord, that I'm still standing, still here to be able to have the discussion and celebrate this birthday.
All right.
And
all
look
right.
absolutely gorgeous for 72. You're definitely in my range.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Look at that look on his face. You dirty dog. Okay.
Y'all funny. Y'all funny. I got
At least you didn't call me an old dirty dog.
You know that's coming next, though, brother. Right?
Mike Haney, how's your golf game?
Hey, it's actually doing pretty good, Donnie. I got down to a 6.2 handicap this year, and I won the Social Security League. So, golf is one of those things I'm proud of. I don't talk too much about a lot of accomplishments, but that's a tough game. So
I met Joel Gamble's mother, and she said she does chance against. She said Kathy is a pro.
Yeah. She is Kathy's a 10.2 handicap, and we played a tournament down in Tampa where Mike's at in November last month. She was the only female out of 40 golfers, 20 from Trinidad and 20 from the U.S. And by the 14th hole, her match was over. She won $900, man. Only female they let play.
I love it. I like that idea. We should create a golf league here.
Well, there's plenty. They've got a women's golf league, Ms. Jews, up at Forest Park on Tuesdays or Wednesdays. It's an instructional league as well as a regular league. And if it's something that you're interested in getting involved in, Richard Smith, I think is his last name, the pro up there. He gives instruction to women. I think you'll enjoy it. Some phenomenal women up there. I see them up there all the time. And more of a social thing, none of us, all of us pay to play. None of us get paid to play. So we keep it in perspective,
Oh, I love it. I'll have to check that out. I'll get that from you when we're finished.
Yeah, you should. You should. You're glowing there. What's going on with you in 2025? You got a glow that I haven't seen, a shine, a sheen.
I am still standing, Michael.
I hear you.
The Lord has graced me with some more time. I just lost my baby sister.
Oh my! I'm sorry to hear that.
4 days ago.
I'm sorry to hear that.
But she lived her life. She worked for the Lord. She was a minister, and she just did what Tony was supposed to do, Sister Tony. And
Was she up in New York?
no, she's down in South Bend. That's where
Oh, she's in Indiana. That's right. That's right. In Indiana. Okay.
that's where I was born and raised. And she's been a real warrior, and I'm just proud of her. So the Lord took her, and it wasn't like she didn't do what she was supposed to do. So I'm just grateful. So she always call and give me a little verse to read or to chew on. Sis, you need to read this. Might give you a little something. You know, she was funny. But,
Yeah, that's powerful. That's powerful. And a tremendous year for losses, but I'm at that stage in my life where that's what happened. And I always tell Miss Jews and Mike Randolph, that my mom prepared us for eternal life. What does eternal life look like?
Yeah.
Should we celebrate someone's life in terms of the accomplishments they had and not be sad for ourselves, of course, that they're gone, but happy that they were able to live a life, as you said your sister did, in Christ's name?
yes.
And, you know, that's the guarantee of eternal life, you know, because we all are going to go,
Yep.
you know?
And she walked in love. And not everybody understands that walk. But she walked in love, and I'm just really proud of her, because she'd always remind me. She said, "You know, you're the oldest one. You know, you better get ready. You know that." So I was the first, and she was the last, and she's the first to go, and I'm still here. So God bless us all.
We also lost some other icons this year, like Bob Ingram.
This is a reminder.
Oh gosh,
Yes.
yes.
Just let me know if this is done.
It's a beautiful, beautiful
This
program.
is a reminder.
And but he was a great guy.
This is done.
He was a great guy. He had really given to so many of himself, his spirit and information. He was just free like that.
Hmm.
You know.
Marcia, adjust your camera down a little bit. You got a lot of headroom there.
I got a lot of hit up. Just it down.
Yeah, you taller than me, ain't you? Bob Ingram. Then we lost a lot of celebrities. We lost people in the family. Jerry Cross. Mike Randolph knew Jerry Cross.
Very well.
Mm-mm.
He was a celebrity around here in Sandtown, but also some famous people. John Amos played James on Good Times.
Yeah. He was
James
funny.
Earl Jones. The brother who was with Tom Warner. You saw that?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, the black man that ran Tom's Warner.
Yeah.
Mm. Okay. But you know what? Life is not what we think it is. It
Parsons.
comes and goes. Go ahead.
Richard Parsons. That's his name.
Yes. Yeah.
There you go. There you go,
Dick
Mike.
Parsons. Yep. Yep. He was on top of all of that. He was doing great, great work years ago. I think I was living in D.C. at that time.
We only have a minute to live when you think about it.
Right.
And at the end of the day, the story is always, did you do what you need to do, and did you do it in your way, and did you do it for God?
That
And
part.
if you do those things, it's a job well done. That's why I'm not afraid of death. I know that I did everything I could to make it right and to change the lives of other folks. So at the end of the day, I pat myself and say, job well done, and that's why I'm not afraid of death.
Yes.
Because of that, because I led the life that was Christian focused on definitely doing the right thing and changing other people's lives. And I made a dent in life. And that's the other thing you need to ask yourself when you close your eyes. Did you change somebody else's life? Did they benefit from your presence? And if you
Well, what about when you changed your own life? You moved at what age did you move to Tampa?
I think I was 45. Yeah, because I'm 68 now. 45. During my first.
That's a life hack, ain't it, Mike Haney?
That is a wow.
Yeah. That's definitely a minute, man. And you had to change your life. I was running really wild back in the days in Sandtown before I really got my head together when I started working for the empowerment zone and all that stuff. But before that, I was running around crazy with no sense whatsoever, and only God could have protected me because I wasn't supposed to be alive with all the things I was into back then, drugs, illegal activities, and all that. But God blessed me, and I'm still alive today. So I always say, what's the reason for God to make you for the transformation? So now you can go back and tell others this is not the path, and this is the best path, and this is why it's the best path.
It's interesting. Go ahead, Ms. Hughes. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. It's interesting when you talk about that. Years ago, I was working with an organization that brought young people in. I was the director. And we were out at UMBC, and the young people had an activity. And I'll never forget this as long as I live. These young people, a little boy was sitting by himself up in the bleachers at UMBC, and everybody else was on the gym floor playing. So he was sitting there, and I went over to talk to him. And I said, Fidelma's figured out all this activity. Why don't you go on down there and play with them? Go have some fun. This is what this is all about, blah, blah. And he said, you know what, Miss Hughes, you always think everybody wants to be happy. You think you always try to make people giggle and all that. He said, I don't even see myself living past 13. Now, I'll remember that for the rest of my life. That was years ago. My daughter's 50 now. I mean, this was 20 years ago. And here, this young person could not see himself alive. And so,
Mike, you're a granddad. You have experienced parenting, grandparenting. Have you ever dealt with one of your young people not feeling so great about their self-esteem?
Oh, absolutely, man. I've had a couple that have confided that they contemplated suicide, and that's why mental health is real, and what do we do in our own clan that, you know what I'm saying? We're the parents that are out here doing what they're doing with the grandparents of them. How did we conduct ourselves that have put them in a position where they have issues related to whatever, you know what I'm saying? But, when we have communications with our kids, at least we can mitigate the circumstances. I can't imagine losing any of the 14 grandkids or 7 kids I have. I've got twins on the way down in Atlanta, Georgia. I have dealt with parents who have lost their kids to suicide acts. I can't imagine, because it is truly, from what I see, a life changer, when you see one of your kids. It's through the grace of God, and I'm sitting here knocking on wood and everything else I can knock on to hope that God grants me that is not an experience that I ever have to go through.
right.
In our God's name, amen. As us Christians folks say, in Jesus' name, amen. For the Muslims, in Allah's name, whatever you want to call God. I ain't wrestling with none of that. I know there's one Holy Spirit, whatever you want to call it. I know when that Holy Spirit grab you, what a beautiful thing.
Right.
I used to ask myself, what was going on in my life so bad that I didn't want to live. You know what I'm saying? Because I experienced that at a point too. And was it really me? And it's an amazing thing when you don't want to go through something and you want to end it, versus going through something, coming out of it, knowing how it feels, so that at least in the future when you feel that way, at least hey, I could do that, I could accomplish that, versus putting a gun to your head or a needle to your arm and saying, you know what, I'm done. I'm done. And imagine how many people find themselves in that situation. They call it temporary insanity.
I've never contemplated suicide ever before. But at the same time, I understand folks that find themselves in that situation when they feel that all hope is gone and there's no need to go forward.
Hey, Mike Randolph, when we go out there and get one of them blickies off the corner, that's damn near suicide.
It is.
We don't know what
It
they
is.
put in that bag, in that vial.
Looking at it in that perspective, you're right. I call it indirect suicide as opposed to direct suicide. That indirect suicide, when you don't realize that you're actually putting yourself in position to kill yourself. So I agree with you 100% in that particular respect. But I do know that I've had friends, especially early on in life, that took their life. And I say that I know they was in a really dark place. So I try not to judge, because I don't know if I'll ever be in that place of contemplating suicide. I only ask God to never let me go in that dark place, and I always see light at the end of the tunnel. But some don't. And I pray for those individuals that they come back and realize that life is life. And sometimes life is life means you have to live it. And it's not always good, but you get through it.
Right. Well, I'll tell you, those young kids that I saw, that I used to work with, that little boy said, I don't even see myself living past 13. Now, I'll never forget that. This stays in my head. I'll never forget that as long as I live. That this little bit, we're talking about kids who are 13 to 15 years old. So he had to be maybe 14, something like that. That's the deep stuff. That a child would have a child, 13, 14 years old. I don't see myself living past 13.
I can identify with that. I know way back in Sandtown, back in the day, I saw my first body at 11 years old. At 11 years old. And thereafter, I've seen so many people killed. So my attitude back then in the day was to live, live young, die young, live fast and die young. I actually look forward to death because of the environment that I lived in. Of course, I grew up and knew better. But during that insanity phase in my life, when you thought that death was something that this simply was going to come because you saw it all the time. And you get to the point where you don't want to love because you might lose that person. So you try to love, but not love too deep. And that's the reality, definitely, when you're deep in the hood. And then you find yourself transformation. And you find out that all that nonsense was nonsense.
Okay, can we talk about something else? Because I think we have nailed this one. This is the end of the year.
Yes.
It's been a very interesting 2024. Tomorrow represents a brand new page in the chapter of world history. What are you looking forward to?
Good health, my friends and family.
Nobody trying to go to the Trump White House?
I'm
For what?
excited, to tell you the truth. I'm excited at the possibilities. As Marsha mentioned, health is everything. And I think every day we realize that without health, nothing else matters. And so what do we have to be afraid of? You know, having come from where we talked about, we've come through to this point in our life and we've made it here. Who is afraid of Donald Trump and the Donald Trump White House? I'm looking to see what I can get and how my community can benefit as a result of, as far as I'm concerned. You know what I'm saying? Because it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? And when you look at it in comparison, what the person that occupied the White House before did and how he's going out, at what point does it really affect and influence me to a point where I can't look at the upside of everything? You know, I'm alive. I feel good. I'm not going to lay down and die, and I'm not going to lay down and wait for somebody to step or stomp on me. I'm going forward, man, and I'm excited. It's a new day.
Sound like a song.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you want to sing. I got a microphone. You want to?
I'm gonna give you something. Hey, this is what one of my mentors, Avon Bellamy, said. He told me I have to pray for Donald Trump.
We better, because he ain't going nowhere. So the only thing that's going to help him to be the best president he needs to be is to turn it over to the Lord to help him.
What do you think about that, Michael Randolph? You mentioned being a Christian.
Yeah, I think that we've been around too long and seen too much to know that we don't need to worry about anybody. Because no matter what comes to us as a black people, don't we always survive? Don't we always turn it around? Nothing changed. Only
My
something
daddy-
about attitude when we see
my
the big
daddy-
war.
My
But the
daddy
bottom
talked
line
about
is,
okay, Michael Randolph.
I'm sorry. No, but that's just my perspective on that. But in terms of the new year, I'm really looking forward to the new year's. I plan to kick butt when it comes to business. Especially using artificial intelligence to take me to the next level. I mean, I'm gonna go to a level that I'm gonna look back and say, wow, where was I at? Why didn't I participate in artificial intelligence like way yesterday? But yeah, I'm really looking forward to the new year. I'm hoping maybe get a wife or something like that. That'll be nice, right? But more important is growth in terms of business. I'm really looking forward to growth and friendship and getting more friends in life and being a much decenter person than I was 24, 23. This to come out with a different attitude.
I'm coming out. I want the world to know. Got to let them know.
Right.
Michael Randolph said, I'm
All
coming
right.
out today.
That right there.
That was a song back in the day, for real.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Mike, you got children, Michael Randolph?
I do. I have two sons in Baltimore. One of my sons is a chef at John Hopkins. Well, he's not a chef, but he does chef work at at John Hopkins University Hospital. He's trying to move up. My other son, he's into IT. He's really trying to get into IT. But of course, if you're a black man with a record, you got your challenges. And I always encourage him to keep going on. You know,
If you're a white man with a record, you can be president.
hello, that's what
Hello.
I'm saying. Definitely.
Let's start there.
Yeah, and Donnie, I'm gonna be sending him your way because I know you probably can help a brother get ahead, man. Because we all need some type of support, and I know Donnie is the man because he understands the resources and everything that's available to take you to the next level. And the fact that he's into IT, the fact that most people that's coming from our neighborhoods in prison on drugs or something like that is something to stand up and shine about.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have 2 kids. I don't plan on having any more kids.
Listen, the end. I did one and done.
I'm
What?
telling you. So yeah, I'm happy because both of them I'm proud of both of them, and I made sure I stayed in that life because my father he didn't stay in my life. I don't even really know my father, but anyway, that's another story.
I
Wow.
watched Fences recently. Have y'all all seen Denzel Washington directed Fences?
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen that.
Oh my God! Someone insisted that I watch it, and well, I won't tell you the movie then. But it did bring up the topic of having a father. Marsha, you and I talked about the significance of fathers in a child's life.
Yeah, it's true.
Especially one that didn't abuse their child.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you this, as I've gotten older, I've learned of so many people, women in particular, whose fathers were absent or abusive. And both of them are horrible. So big ups to you, Mike Randolph, and you, Mike Haney, for leading the way on fatherhood in our community.
And you, Donnie Glover.
Yeah. All 3 of us.
Yeah.
That we what black men should do. Contrary to what the world say, this is what responsible black men do. And it's not like it's out the ordinary, because most of us do, but we're not brought up on that. To show that black men do take care of their family and we do love our family against all odds. We still
And that's why we need black media. And that's why I celebrate Michael Haney till the day I leave here for understanding the need to support black media. We must have our own voice, because if you turn on the TV They paint a different picture of the black man, of the
Yeah.
black woman. And I'll just put this plea out there. I plead with our people to stop being a buffoon on social media.
Yeah.
So what
Or
is a
media
buffoon? Describe the buffoon. Share with the people so that they don't walk away with the
A
wrong.
buffoon is a clown. When I first went to Coppin and studied media arts, Professor Ron Nichols had us watch the movie, Michael Haney, called The Birth of a Nation. It was by D.W. Griffith. It is considered one of the first feature films in American history. And this man is called the Godfather of Hollywood. Thank you, Janine. Thank you for always supporting me, Janine. And in that film, it had black people with big lips, with wide eyes, who were scared of their own shadow. And Professor Ron Nichols wanted us to understand that that's what we are up against as black media professionals. Do not support that hocus pocus BS, that bull feces. Don't be one.
That's bullshit.
Mary Carter Smith, Mike, you heard her on WEAA. She would implore anybody on those airwaves to not be a buffoon, to use those airwaves to lift up black people. That is a black station founded by black people on a black campus at a historically black colleges. Stop being afraid to say I'm black and I'm proud. Get some James Brown in your life. They would, WEAA would have people like Mike Haney. You remember Jesse McDade Bay?
No, I don't. I don't recall that name.
Jesse McDade Bay was one of the most powerful voices on WEAA besides Dr. Tyrone Powers. Jesse McDade Bay was, hey, bro, you think Tyrone Powers bring the heat? Remember, Tyrone had the show on WEAA.
Wow.
And he got bumped off because he talked about, he went in hard on the Jewish community, quite frankly. So Marsha wants you to know about this, Michael. Send your son to that. Your son
Yeah, and I'm going to cut and I'm going to paste that. Again, this is about the realness. See how I put that out there and people are really jumping on and trying to help? That's why I said, contrary to what folks think, we still have a black realist out here. And they say, if you need something, say something, because if you don't, you don't get it. And this is an example of that. We always got to connect to get to this conference. I definitely want my son to be part of that. Because at the end of the day, we have to be our brothers and our sisters' keeper, because that's the only way we're going to make it when we got folks like Trump in office.
Yeah, let me also say that Dr. Tyrone Taborn, besides Mike Rainey, Dr. Tyrone Taborn has been a huge supporter of all of the stuff we've done, even down to this television show that we're working on. And so when you have people, and Tyrone Taborn, originally from Chicago, raised on Black Wall Street, is right here in downtown Baltimore. And in February the 13th to the 15th, he's going to have the 39th annual Black Engineer of the Year Awards right here in Baltimore. He took it out of town because Baltimore was not supportive of it. And that's something I want to get to next, our political involvement. But Tyrone Taborn is still here. Big ups to Gene Hamilton. Marsha, you know the staff better than me. I know you got Rayon Don. You got Nikki. Thank you, Nikki. You got Rod Carter. You got Brian.
Davis.
Miss Lucille.
Yep.
But these are people right here in the city, and they load the convention center. Let me tell you, I do a nice business event. LaRon Finney can do an even bigger business event, and he's done that. But Tyrone Taborn, dude like this.
Well, they fill the convention center full of the Fortune 100, Fortune 200 corporations attend, and they are hiring people, and they are bringing in tanks and helicopters so that the young people can also see what they can be. They can touch what they can be, and it's not just having a conversation. They can have those experiences And the people that are there, it's IBM, GM, the top Fortune 500 people are there. The Hewlett Packard, General Motors, General Dynamics, they all have a booth. And like I said, they bring helicopters and tanks so the folks can look at them. Young people can look at it. And, you know, sometimes you got to see yourself there. If you can't see yourself doing some of these things, then it's impossible for you to really figure out how to get there if you don't really understand how it tracks. So this conference is really wonderful. And they also have workshops, and they have workshops for young people. So the college kids and high school kids, they all get to come to this exhibit hall, and it's in February, and CCGMAG or med.org. But have everybody, tell the kids, tell your family, tell your neighbors, tell your schools. They all need to come in that February time frame.
Mike Haney, tell me about Maryland hospitality training and global hospitality training. We know that you did 2 live broadcasts this year from Kenya. We know that you did another another couple of set of broadcasts from Dubai. What was it? Something Tex.
GITEX. Matter of fact, Tyrone, Dr. Taborn was there when I was there for GITEX, a global technology conference where AI, to what Mike Randolph talked about, and the explosiveness of that. We'll be in Morocco because 2 of them are in Africa this year, Morocco in April and Nigeria in September. So both of those companies, Donnie, I describe as workforce development companies. I was listening to Michael talk about his son and his son with a history of whatever, and we're saying that, hey, if we were white, whatever, and we know that Dr. Taborn can do something this big, LaRon can do something this big, Donnie can do something this big. We had this conversation the other day. What is our real ask of America? Is our real ask of America is the same 2-state solution that the Palestinians want with the Israelis, and we're looking for a 2-state solution where we get 20% of the gross national product, we get 2 warm states, two cold states, and that we really understand the dynamics of separate but equal. You know, when we look at Black Wall Street, what happened in Black Wall Street and how we thrived as communities and the conquer and divide mentality, the 13th Amendment that continues to talk about slavery, you know, maybe our asks are different. Maybe we need to look at our own economies, because there's no reason why Mike's son should have any issue getting a job in Black America with all this and all this and all this, but they don't want that to happen, man.
I'm glad you said that, Mike. We have something that we need to address. We still stuck on some Willie Lynch stuff in our community, man. Do you know we got Blacks in every level of government, federal, state, local. Blacks. Got a Black governor. And I ain't talking about just these figureheads. I'm talking about the people that they bring around and bring a lot of Blacks. But we got some Blacks. Some Blacks, they get in that door. And they not holding the door open for nobody else.
Because they can't, Donnie. They can't. Because it's not their door. They don't own what's inside the door. And when you get a chance to knock on it and go through it, you better come correct in terms of what the expectation is. You can't give away what's not yours. You can't give away what's not yours.
So then getting inside that door don't mean jack then.
No, it doesn't, except an accomplishment because you're from Yale, Harvard, and maybe an HBCU occasionally, because that's what's allowed. And that's why I said we have to look at our ask differently. And I pray in 2025 that we look at the 2-party system in America and say, you know, neither of this really works for us. And what's our only one that would work for concurrently for us may be our own. It is time for us to look at a 2-state solution. Prior to desegregation, we were a thriving African American community. We raised our own teachers, we had our own business, our own economies, and when they saw that they could benefit from that, then all of a sudden they were okay with desegregation. But then our number of black teachers went down because they didn't want our black teachers teaching in the white schools. But we were okay to go there and get an inferior education. We have to look at a different way of doing business. It's not outdoor in Baltimore City at the mayor's office, because we don't own the real estate. We don't own the financial institutions. Okay, so what we get is what they want to give us. And we have to understand, what do we expect? How much are they going to give us, but what it is they want to give us? It's unfortunate. We're bamboozled, and we believe in the bamboozlement, which is unfortunate.
I got something for you. Have you ever heard of Leon Sullivan?
Name sounds vaguely familiar, man.
That's your homework assignment. I will tell you.
I've got a few notes from you today, and I'm just writing that one down.
We're doing in Africa, Leon Sullivan, Reverend Leon Sullivan, rest his soul, would be so proud of you. That's everybody's homework. Go find out who Reverend Leon Sullivan was.
Mm-hmm. West Virginia.
Icon.
Yep.
Of the mindset of a Marcus Garvey, if you will.
Warrior.
Marcus Garvey had to back the African movement, Pan-Africanism. You know, Mike Randolph, a lot of us say, I ain't no African.
I know, that's sad. That's real sad, because they still watching those Tarzan movies, when we were like, Tarzan was flying through the skies, and it made us look so bad, but we still got that mentality when it comes to Africa, when everybody wants Africa. Africa has the best of everything.
Right.
That's crazy. But Donnie, let me be transparent, man, because I want to say this. All my understanding of artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, came from watching people on Donnie's show. Prior to learning from Dr. Tavon, those people that do cryptos and those other things, man, DeFi, I didn't know any of that. And that's why I got to be transparent. Where I'm at today when it comes to that side of technology, had it not been for Donnie's show, I wouldn't have been at the level where I'm at now when it comes to technology. So, Donnie, I definitely want to say, man, the black press is important, and I'm indicative of that, because it made my life better, and now I'm trying to teach other people what I learned. So look, my hats off to you and to your guests, man, because I have a better knowledge of technology. I have a better knowledge of the world. In your talk shows, I have people talking about health. I got a better knowledge of health. So when people say black media don't count, Donnie, you've done an excellent job and continue to do so, my brother.
Well, Mike Haney, who's a Pisces, and Marsha Jews, who's a Pisces, they are two people in my life who will not let me fail.
Okay.
And Marsha will walk from East Baltimore to West Baltimore and knock on your door to make sure you don't fail.
Wow.
And Mike Haney will send a hitman down to your house. I'm trying to tell you, this is real talk, Michael Randolph.
I hear you.
I will say this: when the governor came in, I've been pushing, and I will continue to push, a task force to look at Baltimore City and Prince George's County being in a race for the bottom. It is so interesting, Derek Burnett's comment about African American history in our curriculum. I shouldn't be 50-some years old or 45 just learning about Black Wall Street. I should have been known about Black Wall Street.
Isn't there some kind of issue too where the public school system has a responsibility to also educate our children?
Yeah, so you got all these
give them
blacks
that information.
If you ain't pushing Black history, go sit your
It's interesting. It's interesting you all say this. I'm listening to you all say this when back in the 30s and 40s and 50s when we couldn't go to white schools because, you know, the fallacy is that it's our system. It ain't our system. Are you kidding me? It's not our public system at all. And this is what we believe. And this is how we trick ourselves into believing that something belongs to us. Back in the 40s and 50s, Miss Jews, when we were going to school in our communities and that was the only place we could go, we had nothing but Black history that we learned. We actually got better educated. My mom, your mom, my grandmom actually got better educated because all the teachers were in Senate, because they looked like us. They were in the community, and we got a dose of what it is that we want was our history. Now, all of a sudden, because of integration, we expect them in their system to teach us what it is that we should be teaching ourselves. You know, we can't keep passing the buck and blaming.
That part.
When what we asked for is what we got.
Yep. Zip, zero, zilch.
We wanted to live beyond the Beltway. We wanted a lawn. We wanted better schools.
It was a setup. And I was listening to you, Donnie, talk about the fact that, here, listen to this. In Maryland, Prince George's County, Baltimore City, and Dorchester County on the Eastern Shore with Cambridge is the more blackest on the Eastern Shore, right? The three bottom school systems or economic systems outside of Mitchellville, et cetera, in Prince George's County, three bottom school systems are Prince George's, Baltimore City, and Dorchester. You think that's by happen chance? As much money as they put into the blueprint, you know where that money really goes? It goes to pay political favors. We'll never get ahead educationally until we can circle the wagons and have education in our communities, and our HBCUs are the schools that produce our teachers as it did before, so that we're incented to educate our own. It's not going to get better. Why do we expect something that ain't going to happen?
I heard Lieutenant Governor Boyd Rutherford say we need to just shut it all down and
Let's start all
rebuild it.
over. Yep. He was on point. So what does this new governor do?
What new governor? Are you talking about Wes Moore?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, well, I think, as I said, it's not his door. I think for someone that achieved what he achieved, Johns Hopkins, Bronze Star award winner, et cetera, fit the corporate profile on Wall Street. He's attained, we should be proud of him as a black man. But as a black man does not necessarily mean that he understands and promote the black agenda. He'll do what they allow him to do for the people.
Go Marion Barry, man for life, DC for life.
Yeah, well, Marion Barry had an 86% constituency of black people in DC. DC was the largest plantation created in America. DC was created as a plantation to support Congress, Supreme Court, the White House, etc. They gave them good government jobs because they needed support staff. So let's not get twisted about what DC really is. Why do you think it's not a state? It was never intended to be a state. It was intended to be a plantation for free people.
Well, what I know is I was there when Marion Barry was the mayor, and he didn't act like it was no plantation.
Me too.
He was not taking any prisoners, for real. I lived there.
Absolutely. I lived there too. I lived in Trinidad. I lived in Old Soldiers Home area at 1219 Holbrook Street in Trinidad. I lived number 26 Varnum Street, down the street from Catholic University. I understand DC well, but let's not get it twisted. That's when DC was 86% black. And it was okay because it was kind of its own economy. And this is what I'm talking about. If we had 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8 of those around the country, do you think that we can't thrive as an economy better than what we're doing now with the type of leadership that we're able to have and our own functioning economy? We need a bunch of DCs, a bunch of Marion Barrys overseeing it. And that's where we got better in DC.
Hold on, Michael Haney. They have on a regular basis every year an annual event for black governors, black mayors, and the Congressional Black Caucus.
Yes.
And those conversations are being held every year. Now, maybe what might be very interesting is to do an audit on the outcomes of the expectation of our communities from what these people are doing every year.
I hear you. Hey, do you know that DC now is about 50% black or less than that? And the economy that we talked about with Mayor Williams, who was the CFO of DC under Barry at that time, and then Fenty, Adrian Fenty, who took care of his buddies, right? And just did what the white people wanted him to do, particularly around 8th and H in the areas of DC that were burnt down during the riots, right? They gentrified DC in the opposite direction, So you don't have the same mandates as you did Mayor Berry. I'm saying, Black Wall Street, Tulsa was the same way with the number in Greenwood of blacks that concentrated in certain areas. This is what we need.
Maynard Jackson, Atlanta. Powerful black man. They chased him out of there in the end. I didn't know that, Mike Haney, till recently. Maynard Jackson said, you will not build Hartsfield International Airport if you don't have some black contractors.
Absolutely.
Let me just say this about MBE, because I hear so many black elected officials and others. Oh, you gotta be MBE. Time out. If I ain't the prime, what in the hell make you think I want to be somebody's sub? I'm just saying.
The sense of order to America had already been written in the Constitution, written by 30-something odd white men who influenced that document that influences us today. Do you think that anywhere in there it said that we would be prime anything in America? Why do we continue to bamboozle ourselves? When we go for an ask, what is our ask? And I'm sure we would have a better opportunity sitting down with the Trump administration based on the people that backed him, who said that they backed him because they wanted to get America back to their sense of order. Hey, I'm good with that. But hey, if that's what you want, I want out too. And this is what I want. I want 13% of the GNP. I will go ahead and participate in the Army and the services, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Give me 13% of the taxes. Give me a certain amount of land, and let us be separate but equal. Let us create our own economy, our own million and billionaires, and you all go ahead and take your 87% and do what the hell you want with it, but let us thrive again. We're asking for the wrong things.
Mike Haney, when you go to Dubai, do they ask if you are a black man? Do they have you fill out an MBE certification?
They don't care, man. 90% of the people that work in Dubai come from 200 different countries. It's the most peaceful, possibly country in the world in terms of the true melting pot. They say America is the melting pot. Yeah, it melts just like gold. You know, black people fall to the bottom of that melting pot. You know, it's unfortunate. Dubai is a heck of a lot different, man. But no, nobody asked me, nor did they care if I was black. They just cared that I was decent, law-abiding, and was ready to work. That's what they care about.
Marshall Jews, when are we going to address the 1,600-pound gorilla in the American room? And I'm talking about racism.
Well, we should be discussing it on a regular basis, but we've got so many folks in the way who don't want to even deal with it or have the conversation about it because they want to protect their own community, their own jobs, their own folks that they have been dealing with for a long time. And until we can just open that up and have a conversation, real talk kinds of conversations, we're going to continue with the same foolishness. We're not going to get the contracts that are necessary for us to do what we need to do. Our educational systems are not going to be what they should be. We have to really do an audit of what we're doing in all these major cities where all these black people, kids who are not graduating at a certain time, the numbers are low, their statistics. We have to be able to tell the truth. Just be honest. This stuff is not working in our favor as black people. And we're not doing what we need to do to rally around it. You got the Congressional Black Caucus comes every year. What are they do? What is that takeaway when they leave? What did they accomplish with all the congressional people, all the mayors, all that? They go to DC, and then what's that takeaway?
Go look on their walls. Look on their walls and the awards that they got, or who contributes to their campaign. See, I'm good with racism, Marsha. I'm good with racism. The only thing I'm saying about racism exists all over the world. You know, that's the way it is. You don't find, in many countries, people live separate and apart. I'm not good about racism in America is that I get nothing out of it. Maybe because I got the wrong people asking for what it is that my community needs because they have self-interest there. I'm good with racism. That's what the world was based on. Who said I wanted to live in your neighborhood?
What about you, Michael Randolph? You awfully quiet. You there
Yeah.
in Florida near Mar-a-Lago?
Yeah, one
He's on the other side of Mar-a-Lago. He's nowhere near Mar-a-Lago, man.
Nowhere near. But for one,
You closer to it than me.
well, that's true.
That's
But I
real.
just had the opportunity not to talk so much as listen. You know, sometimes Donnie, I talk too much. So today I decided just to step back and listen. Now, I do want to say that because of institutional racism, that's why we are where we at. The whole nature, the whole core of it. And unless we begin to take that apart, starting with the structural racism is the highest form of racism. And then we have our institutional racism. So unless we begin to cut back and begin to understand the nature of racism, a lot of white people don't even know they're racist. I'm serious. They've been so used to the way things are, they don't even know what racism is. That's why we got to take it apart, dismantle it, and educate white people on the nature of racism. Because a lot of them, they're not racist, but they don't really understand that you're racist by the very nature of what you don't do.
You know what I want to educate them on, Michael? You know what I want to educate them on, Michael Randolph? I want to educate them on how they can continue to be racist and keep me out of their hair by giving me what it is that I want, need, and deserve, be it reparations, be it an economy, be it a city, whatever. Let them go ahead and do what they see. We are trying to force a round peg into a square hole. And it's only in America they do it because all of a sudden we had to ask for freedom from being incarcerated and being enslaved. Who else has had to do that necessarily around the world and then be told that, you know, you can only be a piece of? Wes Moore is only the third black governor of these United States. The third. Something's wrong, man.
I want to acknowledge Tyler Perry's 68888. It was
it's beautiful.
Phenomenal.
Had me in tears.
Yeah.
Had me in tears. Just watched it the other day. Miss Ernestine Jolivet, who is the sister of Senator Verna Rodwell, Jones Rodwell, she did out in the Baltimore County Library earlier this year a couple exposure events about 6888, man. Did you see those women and how they were treated, our black women were treated back then? Like I said, I'm not saying we won't continue to fight in wars that make sense to defend this country, but let's make sure within inside this country, okay, that we get our share of land. They gave the Indians millions and millions of untenable land and reservations. Can we have comparable but tenable and economies that allow us to be self-sustaining and thriving? We can ask for that in America. I think they'd come to the table and have that conversation. We're asking for the wrong things. You can't mix oil and water all the time and expect to get a good pot of soup.
Yeah, Tyler Perry put his foot in it. Big ups to Kerry Washington. Oprah Winfrey played Marion McLeod Bethune. I so much rather watch that movie than movies that demonize black people. We've got enough damn demonizing movies. For one, I've never watched Django, and I never want to watch it.
Yeah, I haven't watched
Especially
that.
when I heard Quentin Tarantino said he made the best slavery movie ever. I mean, had I been near him, I might have caught an assault charge. Who says that dumb feces? But anyway.
Then comfortable with it.
Yeah, to each his own. But 6888 was all that in a bag of chips, and it was a tear-jerker.
Excellent movie, man. Yeah, I cried. I cried at the end. I'm not ashamed of it.
It was deep.
Yeah. I was angry. Those were tears of anger.
Mm-hmm.
Them women went in there and did an impossible job. And although you understood the white character, it made you think of the actual white men who said those derogatory things to those black people. And that's why.
And why aren't we still angry, Donnie? Why aren't we still angry? Michael Randolph told us what's happening. It's institutionalized now, whereas back then they said it to our face. Now they institutionalize it, be it Hopkins, be it Harvard, Yale, Department of Commerce, whatever, right? Why are we continue to fight this, man?
I was angry. Those were tears. I wanted to hurt something that you would all of these women went through.
Mm-hmm.
No parade. Great job, Tyler Perry.
Yep.
Did you see all those black women? All those black women. It was a beautiful sight. It was spectacular, man. Spectacular.
It's powerful.
Just like the black women that got the guys to the moon, what do you call, what was the movie of the ladies, the black women that, Hidden Figures, right? I mean, how much are we going to continue to be hidden with our education and our intellect and pass it on where if we had our own communities, imagine what we could do for ourselves if we asked for the right things.
We got a black governor, but I want every student in Maryland to know that Benjamin Banneker memorized the architectural plans for Washington, D.C. I want every Marylander, black, white, Asian, Latino, to know that Matthew Henson discovered the North Pole. I want every black, white, Latino, Asian in Maryland to know that Frederick Douglass was the most photographed person of his era who went from being enslaved to becoming ambassador to Haiti, who could sit in the White House and give the president advice on allowing blacks to fight in the Civil War. And those blacks that fought in the Civil War ended up being the Buffalo Soldiers that cleared the West.
And black female space astronaut Mae Jemison. That was
Mae Jemison. Also,
and
Dr. Ronald E. McNair. I'm a Ronald E. McNair scholar. Black man went to the moon.
Yep.
But he grew up in the shuttle going to the moon.
Mm-hmm. We had her at the Women of Color.
Things in every discipline. And the elder told me, Mike Haney, I think it was Billy Murphy. He said they want us to have entertainment. Let them have entertainment. But medicine, science, technology, engineering, math, history, law, government, business. Oh, no, you can't do that. That's why we celebrate Reginald F. Lewis, a Dunbar poet. Got a museum named after him because he did the corporate takeover of TLC Beatrice with headquarters in France. Black soldiers got more love from France than they did in the U.S. Our black soldiers got awarded the French Cross over there in France. Not in America. They come home in their uniforms and got lynched by these racists.
And they don't care.
Donnie, let me touch on something that you said earlier, just to bring home my point. You mentioned about the guy that talked about doing the best slavery movies ever. That goes back to what I'm saying earlier. A lot of white people don't even know their racism. Because if we go back in that guy's life, he might, as racist as statement might be, it might not be the story of his life. But unless we re-educate them, those
man, they need to learn about the Moors who dominated Spain and Portugal and the Iberian Peninsula and were royalty across Europe, who taught Europeans how to take a bath.
That's what I'm talking about.
Education. Who brought Europe out of the Dark Ages.
There you go.
That was the beginning of racism when they chased the last Moor out of the Alhambra in Spain. And then Ferdinand and Isabella, stankin' ass, moved in there and they financed that old dumbass Christopher Columbus, who gonna discover something that black people been here for thousands of years, you dummy.
Tell us how you really feel about that, Donnie.
We need to know our history so we can stop letting other people try to tell us their BS.
Right.
And Mike Haney, this is the year you're going to write your first book.
I'm working on it, Donnie. I'm working on it.
That's why you got to read up on Leon Sullivan, because you're doing the work that Leon Sullivan did. I'll just give you a hint. He conducted over 9 African-American summits in Harare, Zimbabwe, straight out of Philadelphia.
Well, you know, I pray this year coming up that Black History Month is not a month in which we celebrate what we've done, but that we look ahead at what we can do, and that we get bolder in our ask. You know, because when you continue to ask the same thing, and look at this, man. I got white friends that spy on me all the time. I'm on your show and doing my show, just as Marsha does and you do. They say, look at what he's saying. Oh my. And I know it costs me a bit, but it's all measured by what is the value of what it costs me, right? It's not going to shut me down, because you can't buy me. You know, you can't buy me, because that's where we are at our point in life. Marsha said earlier, health is what's important, and being able, as her sister did, to live her story. And at some point, who are the sacrifices in our community? Marsha, Donnie, and Mike willing to tell the story that needs to be told? Or do we just go along to get along?
Mike, I'm expecting something bigger and better than ever from you as it relates to your work in Kenya, with your call center over there, with your relationship with the Kenyans. Don't forget, they are track stars, they are long distance runners. They struggle with the Ethiopians, of course, but there should be, for instance, a Kenyan international camp where people from around the world come and train in Kenya. So I envision the Michael Haney Kenyan track association.
Hey, I appreciate that, Donnie. What I envision is people like Donnie and Marsha having the alley and the opportunity to broadcast media, so that Al Jazeera and CNN International isn't the only way that they hear about blacks in America, in Africa, and blacks in America don't hear about blacks in Africa. Because collectively, when you talk about Pan-Africanism, right, and you talk about Marcus Garvey, what is it that keeps us from being collectively explosive and powerful as a culture of people throughout this world? It's our inability to communicate. We don't own the communication. That's what it is. When does your show get broadcast in Africa, in Nigeria, in Ghana? Do you know Maxwell Aduzi in Montgomery County, who goes over there and took the Howard University president over there, as well as 16,000 Black Americans, 16,000 over to Ghana to see the wall, the gate of no return. And so when do we allow our media to penetrate and collectively hold us together, man, so that we're sharing the same information?
So we got to stop letting other people tell us who our brother is. Do you know, before the Nigerian gets to America, he's already been contaminated in many instances with who we are. Before we even meet the Nigerian, we've already been contaminated. All Africans, this.
And we've been contaminated by who they are too. Cheaters, can't be trusted, thieves, etc. Because we got an image of them that people talk about over here. Man, you got to watch them. They tricky. They got, we hear the same thing. That's the conquer and divide mentality, so that we don't get the resources that Dutch people get, the Germans get, when they raid and pillage these countries, man. We hear about them too, right? You heard about Nigeria and the stigma of Nigerians.
All the
Jamaicans, what do Jamaicans? They all work 2 and 3 jobs. They're all nursing home attendees. American blacks are lazy. This is what we trade with each other. And when our voice isn't the same, but we are the same color, we fight each other harder than we fight the white man who looks absolutely different than we do.
Right. It's serious.
Because we're not talking to each other.
We don't have relationships.
We don't have media.
Well, there's an organization I'm on the board, and it's called the World Ebony Network, and all of the people who created it are all Nigerian. They're headquartered in Virginia. And the beauty of that organization is the conversations that we're having. Maybe one day we can all get together and do something like this with them. But I think it's a very powerful organization, and what they're doing in Northern Virginia is really outstanding. But we don't even know sometimes that we can cross over to the rest of the world.
So I want to let you all know that Mike Haney will be on the Regional Economic Development panel on Saturday at 1 p.m. at the Black Wall Street New Year Empowerment Summit. It will be at the Sankofa's Children's Museum of African Cultures. Mike, have you ever been to the Sankofa Museum?
No, and it's not very far from me, Donnie, and I'm looking forward to it. But my first real panel was with Marsha Jews. Outside of the industry panels that I served in the hotel world throughout the world, right? But I remember in Prince George's County, you had in 2011, you had a summit back in Prince George's County, and Marsha was the moderator. And she I'll never forget that opportunity. I don't know if you recall that, but every time I get on a panel, I think about Marsha Jews. Her saying was, "Keep it moving."
Johnny? Yes.
Keep it moving.
So listen, we got a number of honorees, including Maria Thorpe, who is listening into this show. Adeyemi Adedoro, yes, he is Nigerian. Wanda Best, Marcy Flurney, Akio Evans, Sebastian Coates. He is 14 years old. Maria Thorpe, Tiana Wells Lawson. She went from Harbor Bank to being VP up at Fulton Bank. Special thanks to Fulton Bank. Special also thanks to Wanada, Omar Muhammad, Nigel Wright Brown, and her daughter, Pia Brown. We're going to give Pia Brown. We want to celebrate. We got 7 youth entrepreneurs, including the last 5 names. Salas Vanzi, Nasia Vanzi, Zoe Chester, Anjay Garrett, and Serenity Vanzi. Whose Alexa is that?
Mine, I'm sorry.
Man, we're going to put you off here, man. I don't know what he's doing in here. Okay. But those are our Black Wall Street honorees.
Wonderful.
Did you cuss your Alexa out or something, Michael Randolph?
I did. I did. I said, stop coming on when I'm on. It told the whole world that I'm looking for my dentist. Now you know that's wrong.
Yeah, those dentures are something. Now, ain't they, brother? Ask me how I know.
I wasn't expecting that. Any final thoughts before we get out of here? We've done an hour and a half, and I thank you all. I love you all. Thank you for being in my life. Thank you for being my friends.
My brother from another mother.
I just got to tell you, Donnie, to see all 4 of us on December 31st, 2024, and December 21st, 31st, 2023. And here we are through the grace of God. Marsha lost her sister, you know what I'm saying? And we're living through her light, right? We're living through her light. And we go into 2025 with her light, having lived as Marsha has testified the way that she chose to. And it was her baby sister, her younger sister. So there is no time frame on when we're supposed to go or any sense of order. We only have to do God's work as best we can for the moment.
That's right, when we can.
For the moment. You know what I'm saying? And Marsha said the most compelling thing today when she shared that just a few days, she said, ago in North Bend, Indiana, and here she is today. You know what I'm saying? Sharing that with us, man. And so when you look at all 4 of us here today, man, we have a mandate tomorrow, a new day, a new year of carrying our people forward, man. So that's all I have to say.
Marsha, ain't you from Gary, Indiana, where Michael Jackson from?
No, that's 60 miles away from South Bend. That's where I grew up. Notre Dame country. They were just down the street and around the corner.
I'm going back to Indiana.
Yep. Yep.
You don't remember
That's
that?
home. Oh, yes, I do. Are you kidding me? It's only 60 miles away.
My sister.
Thriving black community. Thriving black community, Gary, Indiana.
But no, South
My
Bend.
sister
It's
took
a
me to
big
see
difference.
the Jackson 5 down the Civic Center, and this man was getting on the bus after the show. They snatched his whole pocket. They was
What?
taking his wallet, but they snatched his whole pocket off and ran. I'll never forget that.
Where
I
was
was like, my
this?
sister that brought me down there. These people are, wow.
Where was this?
The Civic Center. Y'all call
Here?
it the arena now.
Oh, in Baltimore. Wow.
I had to be the number 10 bus.
Yeah, it's deep. Well, thank you so much for having me. This was wonderful.
This has been great. Marcia, thanks for sharing. Mike, good to see you.
Thank
This
you
was
all.
great.
This
I
is
feel
good.
better.
This is good.
I love
This is
you all.
good.
God bless y'all. Have
God
a great
bless you.
day. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.